I'm sorry for the long post, but if I don't let this out now, I'm going to explode. My hands are literally shaking while I type this, and I've already rewritten it half a dozen times trying to calm down. Nicholas and I have been together for 5 years, married for 3. We didn't meet on any dating app or through friends or anything planned like that. We met in the most ridiculous way imaginable, locked inside an art gallery's storage room after the electronic lock system glitched. Just the two of us, trapped for over 2 hours, surrounded by sculptures wrapped in plastic, sharing a single protein bar he happened to have in his pocket. Maintenance took forever to show up, but honestly, it turned out to be the best accidental meet-cute of my life. We talked about everything, from Caravaggio's paintings to the weird pets we both had growing up. When we finally got out, Nicholas laughed and said being trapped like that was the luckiest accident that ever happened to him, then asked for my number. Life with him since then has mostly been good, or at least it felt that way. 2 years ago, we bought a cozy little house, built a solid group of friends, and I really thought we were creating something stable together. My birthday was just last weekend, and birthdays with Nicholas were always a big deal. Last year, he surprised me with a weekend trip to Shenandoah. The year before that, he threw this incredible dinner party with all our friends. So when he told me about a mandatory work retreat that fell right on my birthday, I was crushed, but tried to be understanding. He looked genuinely frustrated about it, kept saying how his boss was a total jerk for scheduling it. He promised we'd celebrate when he got back, maybe even sneak away for a mini vacation, and I believed him, completely, like a fool. The night before he left, he gave me a small box with a pair of earrings inside, and apologized again for missing my birthday. He kissed me, told me he wished he could stay. I even watched him pack his business casual clothes, his laptop, and those ridiculous team-building shirts companies make people wear. I helped him pack, actually. God, I feel so stupid thinking about it now. So my birthday weekend came and went. I spent it alone, ordered DoorDash, binged a few seasons of that new show everyone's been talking about, and FaceTimed my parents. They wished me happy birthday, asked if Nicholas had anything planned for me. I told them about his work thing, and my mom got quiet, just said she was surprised, then changed the subject. Now I know why. When Monday rolled around, Nicholas came home with souvenirs, fancy chocolates, and a small bottle of wine from someplace called the Retreat Resort. He told me all about the boring meetings, team-building games, and how exhausting it all was. He seemed tired, but happy to be back, and everything felt normal again, for a few hours at least. Then, out of nowhere, Kayla texted me. We aren't close, more like casual friends, so I didn't think much of it when she said, "Hey, call me when you're alone." I figured maybe she needed to vent about something awkward. When I called, she was quiet at first. Then she asked, "Is Nicholas home?" I said no, and she hesitated before finally saying, "I wasn't going to tell you, but I saw something on Instagram that freaked me out. I think I recognized someone." I asked who she meant, and she sighed. "One of my mutuals posted a story from a spa this weekend. Just a chill pool, but I swear I saw Nicholas and your sister Tina in the background." My stomach dropped. She sent me the screen recording, and there they were, clear as day, my husband and my sister, together. His arm was wrapped around her. She was leaning into him. He was rubbing her back like it was second nature. They were laughing, smiling, totally at ease, like a real couple, like I didn't even exist. Meanwhile, I'd been home, alone, on my birthday, thinking he was stuck at some corporate retreat. I watched that 10-second clip over and over, hoping my brain was playing tricks on me, but it wasn't. It was them. No question. He was wearing the same ugly vest I helped him pack. She had on the earrings I gave her. You cannot make this up. All this time, they'd been at some spa together, acting like nothing else in the world mattered. I don't even know what hurt more, the betrayal itself, or how little effort they made to hide it. He didn't slip up. He didn't make a mistake. He just didn't care. And I would have never found out if some random girl Kayla barely knew hadn't posted that pool video at exactly the wrong time. I went through our joint account, saw one $200 withdrawal from the Friday before. Nothing labeled as travel or spa, just gone. I checked his personal account, the one I sometimes peek at for emergencies, but it looked normal. Then I remembered my birthday money. My grandma sends me $800 in cash every year. I'd tucked it in my wallet to deposit later. It was gone. That's when I called the spa, pretending I needed a receipt for expense reporting. The woman at the front desk was incredibly helpful. She looked up Nicholas's name, confirmed the dates, and said he'd booked their romantic weekend package for 2. The total? $1,919.50. Paid with $800 in cash and $150 from a credit card. That's when it hit me. The cash was my birthday money. The rest came from that $100 withdrawal I'd seen. He used my own money, my birthday gift, to pay for a romantic spa getaway with my sister. When he got home that night, I showed him the videos Kayla sent. His face went from pale to bright red in seconds. He started with excuses, said Tina was going through something and needed to talk, that he was just trying to be supportive. I didn't say a word. I just pulled up the spa reservation on my phone, showed him the payment details, then asked about my missing birthday money. And that's when everything shifted. It was like watching a mask fall off. His whole expression hardened, and he finally admitted it, admitted everything. When he finally admitted it, the truth spilled out like it was nothing. He and Tina had been seeing each other for months. Then he actually laughed while I was standing there crying, laughed, and said I never deserved a gift anyway. Added that at least Tina knew how to keep a man happy. I didn't even recognize his face in that moment. I just walked to our bedroom, slammed the door, and locked it. A few minutes later, I could hear him in the living room, whispering on the phone, probably warning Tina that was 3 days ago. Since then, I haven't said a single word to him. He's tried talking, switching between snapping at me and half-hearted apologies that sound like rehearsed lines. This morning he left for work pretending everything was fine, but the way he grabbed his jacket when I ignored his goodbye said otherwise. I haven't called my parents, haven't confronted Tina, haven't told anyone in my real life. Just read it. I feel like I'm drifting through someone else's life, like this is happening to a stranger, and I'm just watching it all from the outside. The part I can't stop replaying isn't even the cheating itself. It's him stealing my birthday money. Who does that? Who looks at the cash your grandmother sent you and thinks, perfect, I'll use this for a secret getaway with her sister? Every time I picture it, my hands start shaking again, and I want to throw something. Last night, at 3 a.m, I was staring at my laptop, Googling divorce lawyers. I've already started saving screenshots of everything. The withdrawals, the resort confirmation, the photos, all of it. I don't know what the next step is. Should I call Tina? Tell my parents? Dump all his stuff on the lawn? I honestly don't know. Sorry, this is another long post. I guess I just needed to feel like someone out there could hear me. Thanks, if you made it this far. Any advice from people who've lived through something like this would mean the world. First update. Hey, it's me again. I didn't expect the first post to reach so many people. I wrote it half delirious at 2 a.m, crying and shaking, just needing to get it out. I thought maybe a handful of strangers would comment, "That sucks," and I'd delete it the next day. But the support? The messages? People reminding me I'm not crazy? It meant more than I can describe. Anyway, it's been almost 2 weeks since I found out my husband was cheating on me with my sister. It still feels like I'm stuck inside a nightmare that won't end. I said I'd update when I had a better idea of what I was doing. So here I am. The first few days were a blur. Nicholas and I coexisted under the same roof without speaking much. He kept trying to force conversations. "We need to talk. Can we just sit down?" But I couldn't even look at him without feeling sick. I'd just walk away or put in earbuds and pretend not to hear him. I was completely numb. Then, out of nowhere, Tina texted me. Just one short message. "I'm sorry. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to come out like that." Like, really? You didn't mean to sleep with my husband for months? You didn't mean to plan it over my birthday weekend while I sat home alone? Please. You didn't slip. You chose this. Over and over. I didn't bother replying. I just forwarded her message to my mom with a short text. "Ask Tina what this is about." I couldn't handle explaining it all yet, but I knew my mom wouldn't let it go, and she didn't. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up. Calls, texts, voicemails from both my parents. I let it buzz for a while before finally picking up. My mom was crying as soon as I answered. She said she'd confronted Tina, and Tina admitted everything. Said it had been going on for a while, that they'd caught feelings. I told Mom about the photos, the receipts, the missing money, all of it. She went quiet for a long moment, then asked if she should come over. I told her no, not yet. I needed time to think. Then my dad called. That one broke me. He didn't say much, just asked if I was safe, if I needed money, anything at all. His voice cracked halfway through, and that's when I finally started sobbing. I hadn't cried all day, but hearing my dad sound that hurt just shattered whatever was left of my composure. A couple hours later, the family group chat exploded. Tina messaged everyone, trying to twist the whole thing into some tragic love story. Said they didn't mean to hurt anyone, that they just fell in love. My older brother Robert tore her apart, called her selfish and delusional. Mom just reacted with a bunch of shocked face emojis. Dad said he was profoundly disappointed. I muted the chat after that. I couldn't take the constant emotional whiplash. That's when I decided to stop crying and start getting my head straight. I called a friend who works at our bank and told her, in vague terms, that things were rough, and I needed to get a clear view of our finances. She helped me dig through everything, and that's when I learned the spa trip was just the surface of something much bigger. Nicholas had been covering his tracks for months. Small withdrawals labeled as groceries, even though our fridge was always empty. Work travel that didn't line up with his actual calendar. Turns out he had 3 credit cards I didn't even know existed, all under his name. On 2 of them, he'd listed me as an authorized user, but made sure all the notifications and mail went straight to him. He even asked the bank not to issue physical cards for simplicity. I never saw a card, never got a statement, nothing. When my friend helped me pull up the records, everything was there. Dinners at fancy restaurants I'd never been to. Weekend Airbnb stays. A $300 necklace bought 3 days before Tina's birthday. Unbelievable. The next morning, I confronted him. He immediately got defensive, said I was controlling with money and that he needed freedom. When I brought up the secret credit cards, he called them emergency backups. Yeah, romantic spa weekends and jewelry for my sister. Real emergencies. I snapped. I grabbed his favorite mug, that black Darth Vader one he loved, and threw it against the wall. It shattered into 100 pieces. He called me insane and stormed out. We've barely spoken since, aside from him yelling or sulking around the house. The next day I booked a consultation with a divorce lawyer. She was calm, professional, and kinder than I expected. She walked me through what documents to gather and told me not to move out yet. She said to start tracking which purchases came from joint funds versus his personal one. It was overwhelming, but it gave me something to focus on. I also went to urgent care to get tested for STIs. Everything came back negative, thank God. Still, having to explain why I needed the tests was humiliating. While I was doing all that, Nicholas switched tactics. Suddenly, he was showering me with flowers, apology cards, grand speeches about therapy and second chances. When I didn't react, he flipped again, saying I wasn't even trying, pouting, then going silent. His mood changed by the hour. Then came the final straw. I came home early one afternoon. There was a power outage at work, and heard him talking on the phone in the kitchen. He didn't know I was there. He said, "Just give her space. I'm handling it. Once this blows over, we'll figure things out." He was talking to Tina. I didn't even say a word. Just walked in, grabbed my water bottle, and walked right back out. He knew I'd heard. He hung up the phone the second he realized I'd overheard him. But he didn't come after me. Didn't even try. That night, I called my cousin Jason. He owns a small rental house that's been sitting empty while he renovates. I barely got 2 sentences into explaining before he cut me off and said, "It's yours. Don't worry about the rent right now. Pay what you can." I cried again. But this time, it wasn't from pain. It was from relief. Since then, I've been quietly moving my essentials out while Nicholas is at work. Documents, a few clothes, sentimental keepsakes. Just enough to start over. I opened a new bank account at a completely different bank, one he has no access to. I'm preparing to leave cleanly, with no loose ends for him to grab onto. Last weekend, he ordered an expensive watch, 2100, straight from our joint account. When I questioned him, he said it was for work. Something about needing to look professional, but I knew it was just another ego boost. One more luxury to distract himself from the mess he'd made. The delivery was supposed to arrive yesterday, on a day I'm normally at work. But I'd swapped shifts last minute and happened to be home when the courier showed up. Out of curiosity, and maybe a little spite, I signed for it and opened the box. Inside was a sleek, ridiculous, overpriced watch gleaming under the packaging. For a moment I thought about just leaving it there as proof of how reckless but then it hit me, that money came out of our account. My account too. Why should I let him have it? I didn't want to cause drama or do anything illegal, so I checked the store's return policy. Turns out if the package was unopened and the purchase came from a joint account, I could return it in person for a full refund. No questions asked. So that's exactly what I drove to the nearest store branch, handed over the receipt from our online banking, and within minutes the clerk processed the return. The money hit our account within the hour, and I immediately transferred my half into my new bank account before he'd even realize. He probably won't notice until the next time he tries to flex that watch at some meeting that doesn't exist. Right now, Nicholas is away at an actual work conference. He has no idea that half the house is empty, that divorce papers are already prepared, or that he's about to walk straight into the ugliest wake-up call of his life. I'm terrified. I'm furious. But underneath all that, I'm ready. And that's something. Thank you to everyone who's been reading this. Your messages have helped more than you know. I'll update again once things move forward. Second update. It's been about a month since my last post, and so much has happened that I barely know where to start. When I left off, I was getting ready to leave Nicholas while he was away at his work conference. I'd moved most of my essentials into Jason's rental, returned that overpriced watch, and had divorce papers ready. Well, I did it. And the aftermath was something else. The morning Nicholas was supposed to come home, I did one final walkthrough of our house. I only took what was mine, clothes, personal documents, and a few sentimental things we'd bought together that I couldn't bear to leave behind. I left all the furniture except one piece, my grandmother's antique reading chair. That chair has been in my family for generations, and I wasn't leaving it there for him. On the kitchen table, I placed the divorce paper. On top, I left a handwritten note. You were right. I don't know how to keep a man happy, but apparently neither does my sister. Beside it, I left my wedding ring and house key. Then I walked out the door and didn't look back. That first night in my new place felt unreal. The silence was so heavy it almost buzzed. I felt empty, like I was watching someone else's life unravel from a distance. I kept my phone turned off because I didn't want to deal with whatever meltdown was waiting on the other end. When I finally turned it on the next morning, there were 27 missed calls from Nicholas, 12 from Tina, and 5 from my mom. Nicholas's voicemail started off confused. Where are you? Did you go to your parents? Then turned angry. What the hell is this? We need to talk right now. And by the end, he sounded desperate. Please call me back. We can fix this. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Tina's messages were just pathetic. She said Nicholas was pulling away from her, that he'd gone quiet, that she didn't know what was going on. She had no idea I'd already filed for divorce and left him. My mom's texts were softer. She said Nicholas had called them looking for me, and she just wanted to know if I was safe. I sent her a quick message saying I was fine, but needed space. I didn't respond to anyone else. A few hours later, my lawyer emailed me. Nicholas had already contacted her office. She reminded me not to engage with him directly, and to forward any messages about the divorce straight to her. Honestly, it was such a relief to have that boundary, to not have to deal with him anymore on my own. The next few days blurred together, setting up utilities, updating my address, changing my contact info at work. Nicholas alternated between spamming me with texts and going silent for long stretches. I documented everything and didn't reply. Then came the surprise I wasn't prepared for. 5 days after I left, I walked out of work and saw someone leaning against a lamppost in the parking lot. It was Tina. Her eyes were swollen like she'd been crying, her arms crossed like she was trying to hold herself together. The second she saw me, she straightened up and walked toward me fast. Every instinct screamed at me to keep walking, to pretend I didn't see her. But then she said my name, loud enough that a couple of my coworkers turned to look. I stopped. She launched right into it, talking a mile a minute. Said Nicholas had stopped talking to her, that he'd promised her the world, and then ghosted her, that our parents were freezing her out, that no one wanted to talk to her anymore. I know you hate me, she said, but you don't understand. He used me too. I thought he cared. It wasn't an apology. It was self-pity, a sad attempt to make herself the victim in the story she created. I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't there to take responsibility. She was there because she wanted me to tell her it wasn't her fault. When I didn't say anything, she stepped closer, her voice trembling as she said, "You're not the only one who got hurt, you know." I looked at her for a long second, really looked at her, and felt nothing. Not rage, not pity, just emptiness. Finally, I said, "I can't help you. Call Robert." Then I walked away. She reached for my arm, and I yanked it back hard enough that she stumbled. I got in my car and drove off without another word. That night, she texted from a different number. "He's changed. I think he still loves you. We made a mistake." I stared at it for a long 20 minutes, took a screenshot, and forwarded it to Nicholas with no comment. He called immediately. I let it ring. An hour later, he texted, "It wasn't like that. She's lying. I never loved her. It was just physical. Please talk to me." I forwarded that to Tina, also without comment. Petty? Maybe. But I wanted them both to feel even a fraction of what they did to me. A week later, I was served with his response to my divorce filing. He contested everything, property grounds, even claimed I'd abandoned the marital home. My lawyer told me this was a textbook opening move, and not to panic. What Nicholas didn't realize was that I'd documented everything. Shady transactions, screenshots, photos of him with Tina, recordings where he admitted what happened, and names of people who could verify My attorney was confident. 2 weeks after I left, I finally sat down with my parents. They looked wrung out. Dad hugged me so long I had to pull back first. Mom kept dabbing at her eyes. They said they'd talked to Tina. She was staying with Robert for the moment, and it was going badly. She kept insisting she and Nicholas had some epic connection, and that everyone was overreacting. Robert's wife was apparently ready to toss her out herself. I told my parents where things stood legally, and that I had a place. I said I was okay financially and emotionally. Only half true, but they had enough on their plate. Then Dad surprised me. They'd already spoken to a family lawyer about removing Tina from their will. I told him that was unnecessary. She's still their daughter. He was firm. Actions have consequences, and they raised us better. 3 weeks in, my lawyer notified me that Nicholas had pulled about $7,000 from our joint savings. Thankfully, I'd already moved most of my share, but it still felt like a punch. My attorney filed to freeze what remained and requested temporary financial orders. We had a court date set, and then, 2 days before, his lawyer reached out wanting to work it out. No court, No fight. He'd accept my property split if I agreed not to cite adultery specifically in the record. My lawyer said it was a solid deal. I'd get the financial result without a dragged-out battle. But something felt off. Why the sudden panic about the paperwork? I asked for time. That evening I got a text from an unknown number. Tina using a friend's phone. Nicholas's boss found out about us. He's in trouble at work. Please don't make it worse. And there it was. His company is strict about personal conduct, especially for a divorce citing adultery, names, dates, proof. Could hit his career. That's why he wanted to settle fast. I told my lawyer I'd agree, with one condition. Nicholas pays all legal fees, including mine. We haggled. Final terms. He covers 80% of all fees. Papers to be signed the following week. Yesterday was the first day I didn't cry. Not once. I went to work, had lunch with a coworker, came home, cooked, watched a show, and went to bed. Ordinary things. Small things. But they felt like wins. This morning, I woke up to 15 missed calls from that same number Tina's been using. I didn't listen to a single voicemail. I don't need her explanations. Later, while I was buying cereal, an email from Nicholas's company landed. Legal department, not HR. Nicholas had told them I was spreading false rumors about him at work, including infidelity claims. They were fact-checking. I stood in the aisle staring at that email until an employee asked if I was okay. When I got home, I forwarded it to my lawyer. 10 minutes later, she called. We drafted a careful professional response confirming I'd filed for divorce based on clear evidence of infidelity, and that I hadn't shared personal information at his workplace. We attached screenshots and a redacted spa receipt, just enough to establish reality. An auto out of office pinged back. So now I wait. Robert called tonight. Tina moved out of his place yesterday, left the guest room a mess. Stained sheets, makeup smeared across the counter, even a little burn mark on the carpet from a straightener. While we were talking, a notification popped up. Nicholas posted on Instagram for the first time in weeks. A moody whiskey glass with a quote about weathering storms and finding yourself. 6 weeks ago, that would have wrecked me. Now it just looks ridiculous. The same guy who laughed while I cried, stole my birthday money for a cheating weekend with my sister, and told me I didn't deserve gifts. Posting sad boy wisdom. I'm still at Jason's rental, but I'm apartment hunting. I'm scrolling Facebook Marketplace for secondhand furniture, and I signed up for a meal kit, so I'm not living on takeout. Tomorrow, I meet my lawyer to review the final settlement before Nicholas signs next week. She thinks we've covered everything. We'll double-check for hidden debts or surprise accounts. I know I've got a road ahead. Finalizing takes time, but Nicholas and Tina wanted to play adult games, and now they're meeting adult consequences. It feels like justice. Last update. A lot of you asked me to close the loop, so here it is. The divorce was finalized last month. Once his company started poking around, Nicholas stopped fighting. The split ended up basically what I proposed. I kept my retirement accounts and personal belongings. He kept the house but had to refinance, take me off the mortgage, and buy out my share of the equity. We split the joint savings minus the $7,000 he withdrew. He paid 80% of all legal fees per our agreement. Expensive, exhausting, but fair. Something unexpected happened at the courthouse the day we signed. Through his lawyer, Nicholas asked for 5 minutes. Mine advised against it, but I agreed, only in the hall with security nearby. He said he wasn't trying to win me back, just wanted me to know he understood how badly he'd blown it and hoped someday we could be on speaking terms. I told him probably not, and that I wished him well. That last part wasn't exactly true. I don't wish him harm, but I also don't wish him anything. I just want him in the rear view. Tina is complicated. After Robert kicked her out, she bounced between couches. Most friends tapped out after a couple of weeks. According to Mom, Tina stayed up late drinking wine, crying about how unfair life is, and doing nothing to fix it. 3 months ago, she moved back in with our parents. The house is tense. Dad barely talks to her. Mom is stuck refereeing. Tina got a call center job and claims she's saving for a place, but it's slow going. Hard to save when Sephora and Uber Eats keep winning. I haven't spoken to her since that parking lot scene. She's cycled through numbers, texts that started defensive, you don't understand what we had, then desperate, please talk to me, I miss my sister, then resigned, you'll probably hate me forever. I haven't replied to any of them. Extended family knows something went down, but not the fine print. My grandma, the one who mailed the birthday cash Nicholas used, cornered me at Christmas and said forgiveness heals the forgiver more than the forgiven. I changed the subject. I love her, but not every betrayal gets cleaned up with a hug and a prayer. As for me, I'm okay. Sometimes better than okay. 2 months ago, I signed a lease on a small, sunny one-bedroom that feels like mine. Last week, I went on a third date with a guy a friend introduced me to, a radiologist at the children's hospital across town. He knows the broad strokes and hasn't bolted. We're moving slowly. It's nice to remember not all men are trash. The biggest surprise has been my relationship with Robert. We were never close, 5 years apart, different worlds. But through all this, he's been my loudest defender. When Tina tried to play victim at a family dinner, I wasn't there. He shut it down so hard she left in tears. He calls me every week, and his wife has become the sister I needed. A few weeks ago, I ran into Nicholas at Target. I gave a polite nod and walked past. At checkout, the cashier said someone had paid for my items. I knew it was him. I donated the exact amount, $74 and change, to a shelter that afternoon. I don't want anything from him. Remember the watch refund I mentioned? I used that money to book a solo trip to Costa Rica for my 30th birthday. Little beachfront cabin, sunrise coffee, ocean air. I deleted my old Instagram, too many ghosts, and made a small private one for people who actually care. I'm learning to cook real meals again. I don't know if Tina and I will ever repair what we had. Some days I think the sister I loved disappeared the moment she chose him. Other days I remember the little girl who followed me around asking to borrow my clothes, and wonder if some piece of that bond is still buried under the wreckage. Maybe time will answer that. I'm not rushing it.